I'm Nate, a trucker with 15 years hauling loads across the Southeast, from the tobacco fields of North Carolina to the swamps of Georgia. The road's my sanctuary. Long hauls, quiet nights, and the hum of my rig drowning out the world. I've heard the stories at truck stops, ghostly figures, phantom lights, things that tap in the dark. I always laughed them off, a skeptic through and through. I'm practical. Check the load, fuel up, keep moving. But last summer, parked by a pond near a Purdue plant in rural Georgia, something found me at 3 a.m. It wasn't just a ghost story. It was the midnight tapping. And whatever it was, it didn't stay behind when I drove away. It was a humid night, the kind where the air sticks to your skin like damp cloth. I'd just dropped a load of poultry feed at the Purdue plant and was running bobtail. No trailer, just the cab, for a quick turnaround to pick up another load in Savannah. Exhausted, I pulled into a desolate yard at the edge of the plant, a gravel lot bordered by a murky pond, ringed with cattails and cypress trees. The place was dead quiet. No other rigs, no workers, just the faint glow of a security light flickering over the water. The pond smelled of algae and decay, the kind of stench that clings to your clothes. I parked facing the water, killed the engine, and locked the doors, the cab my fortress. I didn't bother with the radio or CB. Just closed my eyes in the sleeper, the hum of cicadas lulling me to sleep. Why did the cicadas stop, leaving the night too silent? I woke to a faint tapping on the passenger side door, rhythmic and soft, like knuckles rapping lightly on metal. My eyes snapped open, heart ticking faster. The cab was dark, the security light's glow barely reaching through the curtains. I sat up listening. Tap, tap, tap. Slow, deliberate, like someone testing if I was awake. I leaned over, peering through a gap in the curtain. Nothing. Just the pond, the cattails still, no wind, no figure in the shadows. I told myself it was a branch, maybe an animal, but the tapping wasn't random. It had purpose, like it knew I was here. What was tapping, and why was it so precise? I lay back, trying to shake the unease, when it started again. This time on the driver's side, louder, more insistent. Tap, tap, tap. My pulse spiked. I grabbed my flashlight, the beam shaking as I swept it across the cab. Empty. I cracked the driver's window an inch, shining the light outside. Nothing but gravel and the pond's edge, the water black and still. The air coming through was cold, too cold for a Georgia night, carrying a smell like wet earth and something sour, like rotting fish. I slammed the window shut, locked it, and checked the mirrors. No movement, no tracks, just darkness. The tapping stopped, the silence heavier now, pressing on my chest. Why did it move to my side? And what was that smell? Then I heard it, wet footsteps, heavy and deliberate, sloshing along the side of the truck. Thud, thud, thud. Like boots slogging through mud, circling from the driver's side to the passenger's, then back again. My heart thundered, my hands gripping the flashlight like a weapon. I froze, listening, the footsteps slow, methodical, as if whatever it was wanted me to hear it. I leaned toward the passenger window, my breath fogging the glass, and shone the light again. Nothing. No prints in the gravel, no ripples in the pond, just the cattails swaying slightly, though there was no breeze. The smell grew stronger, choking, like the pond itself was breathing into the cab. What was walking around my rig, and why couldn't I see it? Fear gripped me. I double-locked the doors, the clicks loud in the quiet, my hands trembling. The footsteps stopped, but the tapping came back, frantic now, both sides at once, like a dozen hands pounding the metal, the cab shaking with the force. The curtains fluttered, as if something inside was moving the air. I swung the flashlight around. Nothing, just my bunk, my thermos, my jacket on the passenger seat. But the seatbelt was buckled, tight, like someone had just clicked it in. The cold deepened, my breath visible, the sour smell overwhelming, like I was underwater. My CB crackled, unplugged, and a voice, not human but a wet gurgle, whispered, "Nate, open the door." My name. My blood ran cold. How did it know my name, and why was the seatbelt fastened? I scrambled to the driver's seat, fumbling for the keys, my hands shaking so bad I dropped them. The tapping turned into banging, the rig rocking like it was caught in a storm. I thought of my kid brother, lost to a drowning accident years ago in a pond not far from here. Guilt hit me hard. I'd been too late to save him, too busy on a run. Was this him or something using his memory? The banging grew louder, the voice gurgling through the CB. "Nate, let me in." I jammed the keys in, started the engine, the roar drowning out the noise, and peeled out, gravel flying, the pond shrinking in my mirrors. The banging stopped, the voice faded, but the smell stayed, and in the passenger mirror I saw it, scratch marks, jagged and wet, like claws dipped in pond water, etched into the glass. What left those marks, and did it get inside before I drove off? I didn't stop until I hit a truck stop outside Savannah, the lot packed with rigs, the diner's neon sign glowing like a lifeline. My hands were still shaking as I stumbled inside, the smell of coffee and grease barely masking the sour stench clinging to me. The waitress, a woman with a name tag reading Darlene, poured me a cup and eyed my face. "You look like you've seen the devil," she said, her voice low. "You ever hear about anything weird by the Purdue plant?" I asked, my voice barely steady. Tapping, footsteps, something by the pond. Her hand froze on the coffee pot. "The pond wraith," she whispered. "You heard it, didn't you?" She slid a napkin across the counter, a single word scrawled in pen. "Don't." She walked away, her eyes avoiding mine, like she was afraid to stay near me. What was the pond wraith, and why was Darlene scared to talk? I checked my cab camera footage the next day, needing proof I wasn't losing it. The video showed the pond, the gravel lot, the cattails still in the dark. At 3:02 a.m., the audio caught it. Tap, tap, tap. Then the wet footsteps, circling, the cab shaking. The passenger seat belt buckled itself, the strap pulling tight on its own. A shadow flickered in the sleeper, blurred, wet, like something dripping, gone in the next frame. The voice gurgled through the CB. "Nate, let me in." The scratch marks on the mirror were there, caught in the side camera's glare, deeper now, like they were carved by something desperate to get inside. I sent the footage to my boss, expecting a laugh or a lecture about fatigue. He didn't reply, just called and told me to take a week off, no questions asked. That wasn't normal. Bosses want logs, explanations. A week later, I was at a bar in Macon, swapping stories with other drivers. I mentioned the tapping, the footsteps, the scratches. Most laughed, called it a ghost story, but an old-timer, his face like weathered bark, didn't. "You met the pond wraith," he said. "It's been there since the plant was built." "What do you know about it?" I asked, my throat tight. He leaned in, eyes dark. "Back in the 80s, a worker drowned in that pond, drunk, fell in after a late shift. They never found his body, but drivers hear him, tapping, walking, trying to get in. Some say it's his spirit, trapped in the water. Others say it's older, something the Creek Indians feared, living in the pond. It marks your rig, calls your name. If you stay, it climbs in." "What does it want?" I said, my voice shaking. He didn't answer, just pointed to a photo on the wall, a faded shot of the Purdue plant, dated 1987. In the corner, by the pond, was a shadow, wet, blurred, standing in the cattails, its eyes glowing white. On the ground beside it, a black leather glove, crusted with frost, though it was summer in Georgia. Was it the worker's ghost, or something the pond kept alive. I don't park near that pond anymore, or drive that route at night. I stick to highways, bright lots where the dark can't hide, but it follows me. At night when I'm parked, I smell it, wet earth and rotting fish seeping into the cab. I hear the tapping, faint but growing, on the doors, the windows. Last week I found something under my bunk, a black leather glove, damp and crusted with frost, though it was 85 degrees outside. I burned it in a fire pit, watched it curl and blacken, but the smell didn't go away. Last night I was parked in Florida, miles from Georgia. The CB crackled, unplugged, and the gurgling voice came through, closer, hungrier. "Nate, I'm here." I checked the camera feed, my heart pounding, and there it was. The passenger seat, empty, but the seatbelt twitched, like something was pulling it. In the mirror, the scratches were deeper, wet and glistening, like they'd been carved by dripping claws. Outside, I heard it, wet footsteps, circling, then a tap on the passenger door, slow and deliberate. I don't know what the pond wraith is, a ghost, a spirit, or something the water won't release. I don't know why it chose me, or what it wants inside my rig. But I know it's out there, by that pond, tapping, walking, waiting. And I know if I ever park there again, it'll climb in, and this time it might not let me drive away. Will I ever escape the midnight tapping at the pond? If this story gave you chills, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You never know what's coming next. I'm Luis, a freight trucker with 17 years hauling loads across California. From the ports of Long Beach to the orchards of the Central Valley. The road's my life, long nights, endless highways, and stories swapped at truck stops about things that don't belong in the daylight. I've heard them all. Ghost lights in the desert, hitchhikers who vanish, shadows that follow you home. I never bought into them. I'm a practical guy. Check the tires, log the miles, get paid. But last fall, on a lonely stretch of Jensen Road in Fresno at 3 a.m., I saw something that broke my world apart. They call it the trench coat phantom, and it's been watching me ever since, waiting for me to come back. It was a moonless night, and I was hauling a load of almonds from Bakersfield to a warehouse in Sacramento, running westbound on Jensen Road, a 2-lane strip just before Fresno's residential sprawl. The air was cool, heavy with the scent of dust and blooming citrus, the road flanked by dark fields and irrigation ditches. My partner Rico was in the passenger seat, half asleep, his cap pulled low. My headlights cut through the dark, catching the yellow line and the occasional road sign. The CB was off, the radio silent, just the hum of the engine and the rhythm of tires on asphalt. I was exhausted, 12 hours into a 14-hour run, my eyes burning but focused. Why did the road feel like it was holding its breath? We were nearing the edge of the fields, where Gwenson starts to brush against houses, when I saw it, a figure, impossibly tall, standing dead center on the divider line, black trench coat, long and flapping, a round black sombrero shadowing its face, like something out of an old western crossed with a nightmare. It didn't move, didn't flinch, just stood there, arms at its sides, as if waiting. I slammed the brakes, the rig lurching, Rico jolting awake with a curse. "What the hell, Luis?" he yelled, but I couldn't answer, my eyes locked on the figure. We missed it by inches, the trailer skimming so close I felt the air shift. My heart pounded, hands shaking on the wheel. Rico saw it too. How could something so solid just stand there, unmoving? I glanced in the side mirror, expecting to see it staggering or running. Nothing. The divider was empty, the road clear, no trace of the figure, no coat, no hat, no shadow under the stars. Rico was wide awake now, his face pale, staring out the passenger window. "You saw that, right? Tall black coat, hat like a damn cowboy?" I nodded, my throat dry. We'd both seen it, clear as day in the headlights, but now it was gone, like it had never been. The air in the cab turned cold, a faint smell creeping in, like old leather and ash, sharp and raw. I checked the mirrors again, nothing but darkness. The field silent, no wind to explain the flapping coat. How does something vanish like that? And why did it feel like it was still there? I floored it, the rig roaring toward Fresno's lights, Rico muttering prayers under his breath. The cold deepened, my breath fogging the windshield despite the heater. My CB crackled, unplugged, and a sound, not a voice, but a low hum, like wind through a canyon, rumbled through the cab. Luis, my name. My stomach dropped. I yanked the plug again, but the hum kept going, circling us, like it was inside the walls. Rico gripped his rosary, eyes wide. "What the hell was that, man?" he whispered. I didn't answer, my eyes darting to the passenger seat. Empty, but the cushion was dented, like someone had just sat there. In the side mirror, I saw it. Scratch marks, jagged and deep, etched into the frosted glass, fresh and glinting in the starlight, like claws had raked the metal. What left those marks, and how did it know my name? We didn't stop until we hit a truck stop on the edge of Fresno, its lot packed with rigs, the diner's neon sign buzzing like a lifeline. My hands were still shaking as we stumbled inside, the smell of coffee and fry grease cutting through the leather and ash stench clinging to us. The waitress, a woman with a name tag reading Rosa, poured us coffee and eyed our faces. "You boys look spooked," she said, her voice cautious. "You ever hear about anything weird on Jensen Road?" I asked, my voice low. A tall figure, trench coat, sombrero, standing in the middle. Her hand froze on the coffee pot. "The trench coat phantom," she whispered. "You saw him, didn't you?" She slid a napkin across the counter, a single word scrawled in pen. "Don't." She walked away, her eyes avoiding ours, like she was afraid to be near us. What was the phantom, and why was Rosa scared to talk? Rico wanted to quit the run, but we had a deadline. We delivered the load in Sacramento, but Jensen Road stayed with me. The scratches on the mirror didn't buff out, and the smell lingered, faint but persistent. A week later, I took another run through Fresno, same route, telling myself it was a one-off, a trick of the mind. At 3 a.m. on Jensen Road again, there he was, same spot, same divider, trench coat flapping, sombrero low, standing still as death. I swerved, the rig fishtailing, and checked the mirror. Gone, like before. The hum came again, louder. "Luis, come back." The scratches in the mirror were deeper, fresh over the old, like he was marking me. Paranoia set in. Every run, every night, I'd see him. Always on Jensen, always at 3 a.m., always vanishing when I got close. The hum grew clearer, the smell stronger, the cold biting deeper. I started avoiding Fresno, taking longer routes, but the deliveries kept pulling me back. Rico quit, said he couldn't handle the eyes he felt watching us. I didn't blame him. The figure wasn't just a ghost. It felt like a warning, or a hunter, tracking me through the night. Was he guiding me somewhere, or waiting for me to stop? I needed answers. I went back to Jensen Road, alone, parking at the same spot just before 3 a.m., my flashlight shaking in my hand. The air was heavy, the leather and ash smell choking. I stepped out, boots crunching on gravel, and called into the dark, "What do you want?" The hum answered, low and steady from the fields. My beam caught something, a glint, like metal, half buried in the dirt. I dug it up, a rusted belt buckle, old, with a cattle brand etched into it. The hum stopped, the cold lifting, but the buckle burned in my hand, like it held a piece of him. At a diner in Fresno, I showed the buckle to an old driver, his face like cracked leather. "The trench coat phantom," he said, voice low. Been on Jensen since the 50s. Some say he's a rancher, killed in a wreck when a semi hit his horse trailer. Others say he's older, tied to the land, a spirit the Chumash wouldn't cross. He stands on the divider, marks your rig, calls your name. If you stop, he gets closer. What does he want? I asked, my throat tight. He didn't answer, just pointed to a photo on the wall, a faded shot of Jensen Road, dated 1957. In the corner, barely visible, was a figure, tall, trench coat, sombrero, standing on the divider, eyes glowing white. On the ground beside him, a black leather glove, crusted with frost, though it was summer in Fresno. Was he a lost rancher or something the land wouldn't let go? I don't drive Jensen Road anymore, not at night. I take I-5, burn extra fuel, anything to avoid that stretch. But he follows me. At night when I'm parked, I smell it. Leather and ash, sharp and heavy, seeping into the cab. The CB crackles, unplugged, his hum whispering, "Luis, come back." Last week I found something under my bunk, a black leather glove, stiff with frost, though it was 90 degrees outside. I burned it in a fire pit, watched it curl and blacken, but the smell didn't go away. Last night I was parked in Bakersfield, miles from Fresno. The CB crackled and the hum came through, closer, hungrier. "Luis, you're mine." I checked the camera feed, my heart pounding, and there he was, the passenger seat, empty, but a shadow flickered, tall, hat low, coat flapping. In the mirror, the scratches were deeper, fresh lines over the old, like a claim. Outside, I heard it, boots crunching on gravel, circling the rig, stopping by the passenger door. I don't know what the trenchcoat phantom is, a ghost, a spirit, or something the Fresno night keeps alive. I don't know why he chose me, or what he's tracking me for. But I know he's out there, on Jensen Road, standing on the divider, watching. And I know, if I ever drive that stretch again, he'll climb in, and this time he might not vanish. Will I ever escape the trenchcoat phantom of Jensen Road? If this story gave you chills, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You never know what's coming next.